Welcome in to the Dark Library. Tonight we have a tale that is sure to get you howling. Tonight we'll be listening to Chapter 1 of Nightwere at Christmas. Roger was bitten by a werewolf and now has this monster raging inside of him. Will he be able to keep it under control? Or will it claw its way out? He is struggling to hold on to that last shred of his humanity. I don't know if he'll be able to do so. Listen in. And remember to stay spooky, everyone.
Chapter 1. The sun stormed through the trees in a blinding ray of light that struck him, firing an explosion through his skull. He quickly backed away as fast as he could until he found the shadows. Every part of his being was on fire. Everything hurt, but it was quickly being pushed out of his conscious thought as adrenaline rushed through him. Where was he? He looked around and saw he was in the woods. And he was naked. What happened? How did he get there? He struggled to remember, but his mind was blank. It hurt to try, as the pain in his head was a wall keeping him from breaking into his own memories. He twisted around, but didn't recognize anything. What was the last thing he remembered? Come on, Roger, think. He tried, but he was out in the woods. It was cold. He was naked. How did he end up there? Nearby he heard some crashing as some critter took off through the woods. He looked in that direction, his heart racing. Go, chase, hunt. He took a few running steps in that direction, but stopped. Why would he chase it? Well, for starters, he was hungry. He had never felt as ravenous as he did right now. The saliva from just hearing the creature scurry away, and his craving to rip into its flesh only made his addled mind even more confused. He had never been a hunter. He couldn't remember anything about his life, but somehow he was sure of it. Even if you had hunted before, how would you even be able to catch it? None of this felt right. He didn't feel right. He stumbled to a tree for support. His body felt fine, more than if he allowed himself to be honest. The earlier painful sensation had quickly faded, and with it, the aches of everyday life in his 40s. That was something. He was 45, or he believed he was. He was terrible at doing the math when it came to remembering his age. But he'd had a party recently. There had been candles and a cake, and in the flashes of memory he thought he could remember someone close to him, hugging him, laughing as she did. She had been teasing him about getting older and that he was once again older than she was. The pounding and confusion in his head made the world unsteady. He stumbled again and leaned fully against the tree. The sun was too bright. Nature was filled with too many smells. He could sense where they were all coming from and how far away they were. The cold wind should have had him shivering, as his bare ass was on display for the world to see. He could hear everything. He knew there were deer grazing just over the hill, feasting on the grass. He could hear their heartbeats and counted 5 of them. More drool, now to the point that it wanted to run from the corners of his mouth. The thought of tearing into them, not even cooking the meat, but eating it raw and straight from the still struggling creature, sent enough desire that he could feel himself getting hard with anticipation. The image of him naked and crouched over the deer burned into his head, burrowing as he thought. The image of him naked and crouched over the deer The image of him naked and crouched over the deer burned into his head, burrowing as the thought took root, and as much as he tried to push it away, it stayed there. He couldn't get away from it. He had no clue where he was or how he got there, but all he could think about was chasing that deer. A deer he had no hope of ever catching, even if he tried. "What is wrong with you? Find your phone, call Tina. She'll help you sort this out. Need to get her to pick you up." Tina. His memories were there, just hard to get past the surface thoughts of his anger. His memories were there, just hard to get past the surface thoughts of his hunger. Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be difficult. With no cell phone and no idea which direction to find the closest residence. Once he did, what was he supposed to do? Just walk up, knock on the door, and expect them to call the police at the first sight of him? That would be something he would never live down once he returned to duty. Cops talk. One call and he'd be known countrywide. Duty. There was something about the last time he was on duty. Something had happened. The pounding in his head intensified, and he took a step to another tree. He wasn't sure if he was going in a good direction or not. What had happened? What had happened? Something wasn't right. He took a few more stumbling steps to another tree. He was starting to get the hang of walking again, and he was surprised he was even able to walk at all. And he was surprised he was even able to walk with how the car. And he was surprised he was even able to walk. Gosh, dang it! And he was surprised he was even able to walk with how that car had run over his leg. What car? What happened to his leg? How was he even walking? He looked down at his feet. Neither of them showed any sign of ever being broken. But there were fragments there. He remembered the pain, watching his foot go under the tire as he clung to the door for his life, knowing the moment he let go, the rest of him would meet the same fate. How the car was yanked out of his hands, feeling the grip on the door as it was ripped away, nails torn with it. How the car was yanked out of his hands, feeling the grip of the door as it was ripped away, nails torn with it, as he didn't have the strength to hold on. It must have been a dream. But how was it he was out in the woods? No recollection as to how he had gotten there. Them rednecks. Them goddamn hillbillies. They'd pulled some kind of damn prank. He'd hit his head, got knocked out, and now they stripped him down and left him out there. That had to be it. He needed to find Smith. They'd spook her too, but she had to have them. They'd spooked her too, but she had to have been in on it for them to leave him out there. They're probably not too far away. After all, they'd want to be able to watch and laugh their asses off, watching him stumble around out there. So what did they do? Drug him once he hit his head and fed the suggestion to him that he'd hurt his leg? That didn't make any sense. None of this made any sense. He neared the top of the hill. He was still stumbling from one tree to another, trying to push through the confusion. Something was wrong. There was a smell that wasn't right. It was unnatural, and it was moving around him. Instantly the hair rose on the back of his neck as he tried to place what it was. There was a musk to it, and the barest touch of a skunk mixed with rotten meat. He felt the wind shift, and that took the smell away. He should be able to hear it, though. It was moving. How could it get around him without making a sound? He could hear everything. How could he not hear it? It moved behind the wind, and again the smell hit him. It was down the hill he had just climbed. Roger looked in that direction, but there was nothing there. Was he supposed to do? What was he supposed to do? Why did he fear that smell? What about it sent goosebumps breaking out along his arms? Roger backed away from it, took the crest of the ridge, and looked around. All he saw was more woods. Where the hell was he? Just how deep into the hills had they taken him? You know those hillbillies had nothing to do with this. You can kid yourself all you want, but you know better. He heard a growl behind him. He spun, but nothing was there, though traces of that smell lingered in the air. Again he heard nothing and saw nothing. Roger found that his heart was racing. He was being hunted. Something in the woods was tracking him. He had to get out of there. He picked a direction and ran, turning away from the unseen presence and moving as fast as his legs would carry him. He was surprised at his own speed. He was running through forested ground barefoot, but it didn't bother him. The ground felt smooth beneath his feet. He felt as if he could run like that. He felt like he could run like that for hours. Energy coursed through him from the endless reserve, such he had not felt since his 20s, and even then never to this degree. Stop! Back! Hunt! Fight! He didn't so much hear the voice in his head as much as he felt the words as a growl he understood. There was an anger he recognized, but not sure from where, and it was upset with him for running. It wanted him to go back. As he ran, he could smell it again, and knew it had circled around him. As he ran, he could smell it again, and knew it had circled around to the front of him. Whatever was hunting him was much faster, and he still hadn't heard a thing. He heard the deer run away. There was a rabbit hiding in the brush a few hundred feet from him as it kept watch over its kit. A bird flew to a nearby tree, not caring about the lives of the ground dwellers. Not once did he hear what was hunting him. Grid, chase, food, hunt, prey. That growl inside him again, making its presence known. He fought against it, trying to keep his head as to what he should do. Damn it! He was never good at this kind of thing. He didn't even like the woods. A weekend camping for them was renting an RV and going to the campground just across the river so they could run to the house if they needed anything. He didn't do woods or nature. So why the hell did you live somewhere that was surrounded by so many hills and forests? Maybe this was all a dream. Maybe he'd wake up and be back in his hospital bed and none of this was real. Hospital bed. He had been in the hospital. What happened to him? This was no redneck prank. Who was doing this to him? He felt something slicing his ankles seconds before the smell wafted by. His legs betrayed him, and he crashed to the earth. Fallen branches tore at his flesh as he came down. A laugh echoed in the woods. The source, undeterminable, no matter how hard he listened. The scent was gone as the laughter faded. However, there was something else. His stomach growled its own internal voice, his hunger reminding him of its desire. Somewhere nearby he smelled food, and he could almost taste the mouth-watering aroma that drew him. He smelled meat.
I hope you enjoyed Chapter 1. I hope to see you back soon. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And follow me for more tales. Stay spooky, everyone.